Matter, and this video is a beginner video actually, and this is a big shout out to Tori Smith, who asked on Twitter, if you were talking to an astrologer who just started learning astrology, what advice would you give them? Now, before I will read my answer, I will begin to apply my advice. And so I'm looking at the chart at the current planets. It will already open astroseek.com, which is how I look at the current planets, but there are many other ways to do so. And look at kind of like my vicinity. So my advice is as follows. Right now is Saturn, it's not Saturn night, it is actually Mercury night. Okay, it's not Saturn day, Mercury night. It is Saturn hour, which is actually not so, advisable for when we elect time. But I will work with this Saturn, and we see we have Mars ruling the ascendant, with Mars conjunct in lot of fortune in Pisces, and the Sun ruling the midheaven, with Sun in 10 degrees Aries. So exalted Sun is applying to Rahu. Interesting. So my advice goes as follows. Let's say you know nothing about astrology. You read some horoscopes, maybe you even watched a video or two, but you know nothing about astrology. I would tell you, first of all, to look at the sky. Just make sure you're not doing this on an eclipse. Okay? Eclipses is just energy that is very, very strong. It's not like you're saving yourself from an eclipse by not looking at it, but more like if it's not in the books, don't put it in there. And prefer not to expose yourself to this energy volitionally, or intentionally. So now you look at the sky, you look at the moon, but you also want to know what phase is the moon. Is the moon increasing or decreasing? Right now, the moon is decreasing. It's moving, and if you look at the chart, you will see, and for this you need a chart, you will see the moon is closer to the sun than the sun to the moon. The distance from the sun to the moon is longer than the distance from the moon to the sun. Immediately you see we are moving towards a new moon. Where after the full moon, we're moving towards a new moon. Okay? If the moon is exactly square in the sun, we are at the half moon phase. But then, is it closer to the sun? It's half moon phase of the decreasing moon. The other way around, the increasing moon. Now, first of all, why the moon? It's not a random point that I picked. The moon is the closest to the, it moves the fastest and is the closest from our vantage point. And this is what draws in the energy to planet Earth. So this is relevant advice for you to look at the moon that is closer to us. Every planet has moons, of course, but when we are on planet Earth, we are looking at the moon that is closer to us, and it's very likely to be applicable on any other planet that you will be in. Okay, we are at times we're exploring space. So let's say we're on Mars. You would look at what is the body of the sky that is closest to me, and you begin to study just as much as I show you to study the moon. Okay, this is how you begin. Of course, you can later add another body of sky, which is kind of like for us is the sun. Sun shines every day and sets every day, but the moon is moving faster than the sun around the earth. And you would also want that. You want the closest body that moves the fastest, because this gives you changeability, and we are looking for both repetitions, and this is easier to find with faster cycles. Now, moon that is decreasing in relation to the sun, okay? And the moon here is very important. We're next to the sun. Moon that is decreasing in relation to the sun is the overall energy of bringing things into completion, editing, refining things, trusting the process, letting go of what no longer serves, and yes, we said releasing, letting go, refining, editing, throwing away what you don't need, detoxifying also the body. If you want to, let's say, to lose weight, okay, so you would focus on the things you do less, okay, not on the things you do more. Now for the moon that is increasing, you focus on the things that you want to do more. Okay, so let's say you want to start a new habit. Preferably you want to start this on a growing moon. Okay, and so when we want to do protection spells, so we want to shield, we want basically less of the energy of something, then this is when the moon is decreasing. Okay, it's not that you cannot do protective spells or protection work when every day, but if you want to harvest on the energy of the moon decreasing is going to assist you with evacuating these type of energies from your life. Now, the next thing you look is what sign is the moon? Not just the house. What sign is the moon? Okay. If you don't work with sign-based astrology, you can look at what aspect. Okay. So either you're going directly to the aspects of the moon, or you see the lines. There is the aspect is the bigger aspects. There are also minor aspects. You can study them as well. But you're looking at what is the moon doing, basically. So we want to be looking at where is the moon. Some people don't do zodiacal astrology at all, and they just look at the aspects. So right now, the moon is in 11 degrees Sagittarius, tropically. Okay. So let's say you just begin to study astrology. You say, okay, right now it's decreasing moon. We are approaching the half quarter moon, and the moon is we have a couple of days before the half quarter moon, and the moon is in Sagittarius. Now you say, what is Sagittarius? Great, go and watch a video, go and read a book, go and study what is this Sagittarius. Go and look for Sagittarius moons. So one great thing you can do is, if you work with a program like AstroSeek, you can look for a celebrity search with moons in Sagittarius. I'm not going to do it right yet, but you can do that. And this is a great way to study both aspects, because you have a possibility to look for aspects in AstroSeek, and a moon in a sign. Okay, so now you can learn a little bit about what the moon in a sign. So Sagittarius, for example, some keywords for Sagittarius is expansion, freedom, and philosophy. Okay, so expansion, freedom, and philosophy. That is very redundant. But what would a decreasing moon that is making less of something, how would a person, let's say, that would have a natal chart with the moon in Sagittarius, but the moon is decreasing, how would they see freedom? Okay, you know, the people that would tell you less is more, or I feel free when I don't have so much decisions to make, or I feel we would be free when there would be less, you know, on the mundane level, moon also rules the people. When there would be less people, we'll be more free. Okay, this is for us. If the moon was increasing, how would we be free? If we did more of that, if there was more of that, then all people would be free. Okay, I have an increasing moon in Cancer, mind you. So if everybody had housing first, then people will already be more free. Okay, because decreasing moon could, for example, say, if we had less people, we would be more free. We would have more resources. Resources are limited. Okay, so you already see how the same sign with two phases of the moon would give you a different perspective onto the same concept. Sagittarius concept is freedom, but there are more to it. Okay, now we look at the aspects as well. But before we look at the aspects, it's also good to ask yourself, this is tropical. Where is the moon sidereally? There's another system of astrology. Okay, some people say you go with one system, you continue with this. Okay, but if you are, let's say, beginner astrologer, then you can expose yourself to various schools and traditions so that you will understand when other astrologers are talking about the various techniques and how to apply them and what way to apply them. So let's say we're talking about Sagittarius. Sidereally, this would still be Scorpio, and you can change to sidereal view. You cannot change it right here, but you will have to look at this chart and print it as if it was somebody's natal chart. Then you could do it. Sidereally, we would be in a moon in Scorpio. So while tropically moon in Sagittarius is expansion, is even optimism, and then a decreasing moon, we will have more expansion and more optimistic view when we will have less so and so and so. Moon in Scorpio, that is where it would be sidereally, is already different. Moon in Scorpio can be a keyword, can be change from the core, what people call transformation. Okay, so depth, change from the core. And this is a moon that thinks deeply about things, but is also experiencing things deeply. And you can see what is more true to you. Do you feel the moon is in Sagittarius tropical, is better for your understanding of the moon, or do you feel better to understand it as the moon is in Scorpio? We are experiencing things deeply, and so we may have deep thoughts and so on. Or we are purging things. Okay, now I have more information about the moon. Now you look at the aspects before even a degree. Look how much information, just the moon. So just the moon will already give you sign. Okay, I'm not tending to houses right now. You can look at houses. There are different house divisions. So you say whole sign house, the moon is in the second house, so we're talking about and then you go and look, what is the second house? Okay, now when it comes to signs, to houses, to planets, if you want free information about this, there are many people who offer this. I found the astrology podcast having, I think, already almost a decade old set of videos where they simply break down the houses, the signs, and the planets, the traditional planets. And this is where you want to study something like systematically. Great, go and do that. And you combine this with that. Okay, combine this with that. Of course, you can register yourself to an astrology school. I do think it's nice to know, let's say, what type of school of thinking you are subscribing to. And I think that it would be better compatibility for you and better experience for you rather than to just, randomly assign. You will probably enjoy your studies anyway, but I think it's good for you to know a little bit about the basics and understand, am I going to sidereal school, am I going to tropical school, and have some affinity. But if you register to a school, yes, of course. But let's say you just want to start the basics. This tip with the moon will really, really begin to upgrade you, because as you are doing this, you are applying those theories that are all up there. You're applying them. And the more you do this, the more you understand. So what is the moon aspecting in the sky right now? Right now, Luna is between the sun and Rahu. Okay. So she is trining the sun, leaving from a trine to the sun and applying to trine to Rahu. But she's also in a situation that is, we would call, yes, she's between Mars and Saturn. So it's not besieged in a way that is like, cannot do anything. But now you would need to know that now let's say is trining Rahu. What is trining? What is Rahu? Okay, good. Go and study about Rahu. What is the sun? What does the sun do? Or the sun is in Aries. Good, let's study that. What is between Mars and Saturn? Okay, now you can go and look at Mars again, go and look at Saturn again. And you see, you can spend even a couple of hours just studying the moon in this chart. Through that, you get to practice the signs, the houses, the aspects. Okay, trine is more harmonious, square is frictional. The nodes, you already got yourself into eclipses. We're in between eclipses and you're studying a luminary. So it's fated for you probably to hear this in this way. And the planets themselves. Yes. If you feel like, oh, I know the planets, I know the signs, I know, come on, give me something real. What am I watching this video for? So, okay, yes, absolutely. What lunar mention is the moon. And I like to go to another app for that, is Planetary Times, which is also going to be useful for you if you're doing astrological magic. And Planetary Times, if I play with it a little bit, I see it's in 20th lunar mention, called An Nam. Yes, free commercial to some company that most of the world would probably say we are boycotting it. Never mind. An Nam. Okay. And it's just conjuncting Antares, which is a fixed star, on the way to Paikauhale and Rastaban. You see from my difficulty to pronounce the name, you see that I already know what Antares is, but these two guys, even I don't know. The sky is vast. So as much as your time and passion allows you, you can say, what is this 20th lunar mention? I go, and there's a special site that I like to refresh my own lunar mentions. Yeah. And I did a series of videos about, using this site, is magicandmastery.com, the hunter. So, in this time, when the moon is in this lunar mention, what is lunar mention? Every day the moon travels at around, tops 12 degrees. And this is the distance that the moon is going through is a lunar mention. And every day the moon is in a different lunar mention. But this is not true to all the world, okay? Because if I'm in Israel, I can have a lunar mention in 20, lunar mention in the evening, and then next evening only the lunar mention will change. So for the degrees, tropically is from 4 degrees 17 minutes Sagittarius to 17 degrees 8 minutes Sagittarius. Okay, I have my Ketu there. Do set intentions, strive to meet them, seek answers to questions, perform tasks that require concentration. Okay, don't be lazy, don't allow distractions to get in the way of action. Okay, And then you have a summary about what is this, from Al-Biruni, the ostriches, the four bright stars from the bow, and arrow of the foreleg of the horse of Sagittarius, as a symbol of Sagittarius, forming a quadrangle. So this is, what does it do? It's good for buying animals. Rain will be good and do no harm, indifferent for journeys, good for buying small animals, bad for partnerships and captivity. And you already have, what magic would you do? When the moon has come around this mansion, fashion in a plate of tin figure having the head and arms of a man, body of a horse with 4 feet, and having a tail, holding a bow in its hands. Sense it with the hair of a wolf. Probably you don't have a hair of a wolf. And say, you, Kwayok, make me take all I hunt in the world and let them come to me swiftly. Okay? Carry the image with you happily, and you shall take anything in the world that you hunt. And know that Kwayok is the name of the Lord of this mansion. So, destroys allies' wealth, strengthens prisons, helps taming beasts, compel a man to come to certain place of hunting, Sagittary, half man, half horse. So destroys the wealth of societies and compel a man to come to certain place. With moon here, ask for favors but do not marry. So now you know a little bit more about the lunar mansion. Okay, now you say, what? I'm not a hunter. What is it? Okay, do you have a goal that you want to reach? Do you have a target, okay, that you want to reach? Destroy allies' wealth. You know, when you talk about like magic, I'm not saying it's never the case that, yeah, but it's basically, unless right now your life is in danger and you're looking for like magic to save your life, is preferred to learn how to increase things, and yes, to protect the energy or to cast a circle or whatever, you know, protect the space. Yes, absolutely. But then how to increase things, and in general, philosophy of war even is that we want to create peace. Okay, war is just a continuation of negotiations by other means. So every move in a war should be made with the understanding that we want peace. Okay, we want to settle this dispute. When wars are not acted like that, you understand that there are other interests or perhaps beliefs that if we will have less people, it would be easier to settle our disputes. So we need to change the people by killing them and having new people instead. So yes, we must rein in unruly passions, whether they be anger, impulsive, unbridled action, or pursuit of sensual fulfillment. This mention signals success in the questions involving quest or reaching a goal. If we have been hunting for something, the time is auspicious for finding it. But we must not be passive. It calls us to bring forth energy and single-pointed concentration of hunt if we wish to reach our goal. So I just did about a couple of body butters today and took a long shower. Was I discerning with my passions? Not so. But okay, maybe I attended to it. But now you already know so much just from looking at one point of interference is the moon. Now, the moon is also how we draw energy. So when you want to become active about what's happening, you also turn to the moon. Okay? So what goddesses are connected with the moon? First of all, it is, yes, goddesses. So we have Selene, we have Artemis. Even Diana, I think, is associated also with the moon. I'm not sure. was contacted by a woman named Diana. She's from Hong Kong. So, yeah. Now, what other information? The moon was conjunct in Antares. Antares is about a victory. Both Antares and Aldebaran are about victory. Aldebaran is more about the material victory. Antares can be prevailing over, let's say, your competitors in your career or in your in disputes that are connected to having the upper hand over something that might not necessarily have anything directly to do with resources. Okay. Yeah, I hear someone wanting the upper hand. Hello there. Yeah. Oh, you're here in Bastet making its debut on our channel. You want to sing for us? So, yeah. Now, this, I want you to first of all understand you don't have to do all of this at once. Okay? Just to pay attention, hey, is the moon decreasing or increasing today? And do something. Okay, for example, the moon is decreasing today. What can I decrease today that will give me, for me, I have a growing moon, so what can I decrease that will give me more? But if you have like decreasing moon, what can I decrease that will make my life easier, or that I wouldn't have to think so much, I wouldn't have to decide so much. So it can be getting at your to-do list. It can be throwing something that you no longer need, or taking the trash out. It can be something as simple as that. It can be shielding my energy. I don't know. Drinking one cup of coffee less today. Okay, something like this. And you don't have to make all the steps at once. But I already wanted to give you enough information so you can begin to apply another step and another step and another step, and then together with the moon, you are practicing that which you are learning in whichever way. Okay, and now it's already more in your hands, because now you are looking at the moon, you are looking at the chart, you are looking at one body in the sky and beginning to interpret things. Now, another thing is beneficial for you to do is to try to think, what happened to me today? And try to see how can you associate that with what the moon was doing. Okay? So it can be by the lunar mention, it can be, kind of like by other things. It can be by the fixed star. And of course, there's also asteroids. For this, you will need to insert this chart. If asteroids is more difficult to look at from this program, but it's basically you're just supposed to see what asteroids are conjuncting the moon right now. For fixed stars, yes, we've seen that. Do I have asteroids here? I think not. And if you just do this, things will begin to click. Now, yeah, these are, that is so, yeah. Now, there's another thing you can do. And this is where you want to check the transits for your natal chart. So for AstroSeek, let's say if I log in, enter my profile, and if it computed the daylight savings, then this is correct. And then I should be able to do transits. This is from here. Should be able, oh, I have transit chart. So this is the birth chart, which is the inner circle, and the transits out. Look, the moon is just crossing over my Uranus. It started with my Ketu, and indeed I took like a long shower and I cleaned myself more thoroughly, more like cleansing, which is good for moon in Ketu. I didn't even know the moon is, I knew the moon is in 7 degrees Sag, but I wasn't thinking about my chart too much. And I naturally did it. I was cleansing, cleaning many things. And now the moon is conjunct in my Uranus, and I have it in the 10th house, which would mean career house. And I'm teaching you astrology. It is very fated, and it is very basic, you know? It is so very basic. And so what is the moon aspecting? It is, well, it's square in my Lilith, but it's not doing very much in my natal chart. It's just conjunct in my Uranus, which is ruled by Jupiter in the 11th house. So I make a teaching video available to you, because Jupiter is also associated with teaching. So rulership is another thing, but first, before we even go to rulership, actually not. Actually, we can go to rulership quite quickly, because a sign is ruled by a planet, okay? If you watch astrology podcast with a series of videos of like the houses, the signs, and the planets, even the first traditional planets, and then for the outer planets you can watch particular videos, you already have a very orderly knowledge, free knowledge, that you can use. There are other sites that do this. For me, what I ran into was the astrology podcast when I was, after a couple of years of doing astrology, saying, oh, well, I might want to study this more orderly, and that was accessible. So this is a great advantage that we still have in these times, which is important to take advantage of the opportunity. And you see me making a lot of videos live for free, not even asking you to like order anything or pay for this. It's my way of giving back to the community. Okay, I learned something, I get to know something, I share information. I learned most of my astrology, all of my astrology nearly, without enrolling in courses, and it makes sense that I would give back to the community as well. Okay, and this is also my second advice. If you're thinking to do astrology and to, let's say, give consultations to people or make money from courses or from videos, in general business, it's about investing certain energy. Okay, and when you begin to do these things, unlock for you. Okay, for example, I learned aromatherapy, put money in the studies, and then I began to apply. But I had a question to my teacher, and it was, how do I get people to engage with essential oils without having to go through like a medical crisis? She said to me, no, they usually, and only when they nearly die, they come, only then they come to us. But then I also learned how to do like body butters and stuff like that. And sometimes, if on the day-to-day basis, when you don't have a big problem, if you just put like, your daily body butter or something like this, then you're already engaging with the energy of essential oils. And more people care to do, like more natural stuff, without having to be sick. Okay, and then you can pay attention to the magic in your life, to the beautiful things, the beautiful synchronicities. Okay, astrology as well doesn't have to be about solving problems, but about enjoying the magic of life. If you want to think, who am I without the trauma? Who am I without the world wars? Who am I without this? I'm a person who loves to observe the sky, to create, to share information, to connect with things, to observe the little details, to enjoy it with the sensation of, like, butter. So what does this butter do? What does this thing do? And this is magic. This is magic that is beyond anything problematic. And this is when I grow this, yes, then I grow life. Okay. So it's not just about solving a problem, but really about enjoying life. Um, I like here. And then I would learn about astrological magic, which is yet another way to engage. And Caitlin Koppel basically made it available in Body Butter. She was the first designer that did that. And then many people began to kind of copy that. It's way more complicated. You have to learn astrological magic. It's not at all simple. Um, However, this was another approach where you do want the person to have a specificity around the matter, but to also be able to enjoy things casually. So they don't have to come to you with like an ailment or to be treated, but they can enjoy the magic and engage with the magic in a tangible way. You see how every person who deals with the practice comes and brings a different sort of value to it. It needs to learn how to do it safely, of course. So the thing is that I was beginning to buy these things. I began to buy these talismans, and ever I was set in my mind to do that, suddenly I began to be able to pay with international credit card, and then I began to prepare more, like body butter as myself, and then people around me began to use this. Okay, so this is where money begins to change hands, and then you can do it also for astrological courses. So when you want to begin to earn money from astrology, you need to put into the system. Okay, I was, is for me, I have another thing that was making it difficult for me, like enroll in a course after academia and so on. But to see now that when I allocate even a little bit towards this, I see how much I receive from that. Okay, not just the knowledge of the person, but it's just energy. And I really love it when I have, I'm perfecting a certain practice that I'm doing, whatever I have, also the money to allocate to people's videos or people's content or the original content that they're making and pay for this, then I'm slowly beginning to grow something that will enable me to make money in the future from astrology in a way that I truly enjoy. So what I want to tell you that is that it's different to learn astrology and to have a business. Whichever that you have a business, then you make also the money. If you don't know how to make money at all, wherever you have a plot of land, even if it's not your own plot, or any plot of land that you can get your hands in to dig into soil, you can watch my videos about my half moons, or watch how they did how they grew forests in Sahara by using half moons and not planting anything. Just begin to move soil. Just begin to dig up soil, to even dig up half a moon, dig it into the soil, or even to do like a model of that and to move the soil, give into the soil, and then things begin to grow. If you have the ability to grow something, for me, garlic worked. You will do your trial and error and see what works for you. So this is very useful. And that one, the later one, to grow something, is advice that I got, and it took me time to implement this. I also want you to know that if you do have stuff to heal, okay, which most of us do, you're also going through a process there. Yes, this is very potent medicine. Okay, to work to it's beyond medicine. It's to you change the core of your existence when you turn to the soil. the soil nourishes the seed that grows the roots, okay, is big. Only now I'm still processing my soil turning that I did, I think, almost a month ago, a few weeks ago, okay. Only now. I even did not dig more into the soil. I was thinking about it all the time, and even I did not set foot so much on the soil ever since then, because I'm still accumulating. Of course, we're also between eclipses, but I'm still accumulating the wealth and the actions in the real world, and so many things were unlocked for me, both by the merit of the eclipses, but also this action. You're also watching this between eclipses, okay. So I was doing that before the eclipse, and this great wealth that comes to you, and you think about the first thing you're looking for is shelter and food. So this is something that is going to be useful also in that regard. Everybody has their own life path, but that is something that you just find useful, okay. So there are many wealth practices. The wealth, every practices that you do with like decreasing moon, which is more like throwing away what I don't need so that I can get what I do need. There are just many things, and you're going to be meeting them in different times, and different practices are going to be relevant for you in different times, or going to be more potent in different times. And everybody moves, in their own way. So when you have, for example, for me, the first money that I made from astrology, there was a time I have a Karen, which is a wound to do also around like the ruler of my relationships. And I was trying to heal my own relationships, so I was taking many courses around relationships and positive sexuality and intimacy, healing like from sexual trauma, and communication, and so on. And so the very first money that I made from astrology was a small product, agree, small things in the second house. And that was a composite chart for people who are just dating people and want to see what could be the potential pitfalls and how to tackle challenges in the connection, or what teachings to go to. I could give them those teachings because I paid so much money for these teachings. I didn't have a relationship just yet, but I could make money from astrology based on something else that I spend a lot of money on. Okay, it's not big money, but it was just on the way when I was learning aromatherapy, only to find out that it would play a bigger role in my life than I thought, astrology. But if you want to make money from astrology, my advice to you is, yes, to put some money, even a little bit, okay, even a little bit. But there is, if you're possible for you to say thank you to a video of someone, or and I'm in the process of this myself, okay, to buy even a small lecture. And this is already where you put in money into the system, and you are beginning to create this positive karma that will yield for you profits that you reap up from astrology. You never know when you're going to meet those. Okay, when I was homeless between two houses in shelters, I made money channeling to people. Why channeling to people? Because I paid money for channelers. It was not even on purpose. I went to healers that were alternative healers, and even in psychology, okay, they were channeling, they were energy healers, and I paid money for this. And when I had no money, when I had no housing, then the only way for me to make profit, it was to channel people things, and it had to do with their housing, by the way. So it is just so. So I also want you to have this wealth um, for free, because it is something that I understood about my life, and it's something that I think can help people. So many people tell you how to build a business and how this and how that, and I think that is true, is right. But you can get stuck if you don't put money into the system. Okay, also with aromatherapy, I would buy every once in a while something to pamper myself that somebody else made. First of all, it's nice that I don't have to make it by myself all the time. And then I enjoy to make it by myself when I do this. But also, it's a way of giving back to the community, but it's also a way of enriching my life and putting money where I want to yield. Okay, if I grow something in the soil, I'm putting my time, I put in my energy. This year, I renewed my contract for this place, and I got the ability to use water, even though I overused water because I water the plants. I got the ability to use water. This is water, no problem, no problem. You water the plants, no problem. Okay. Um, and this is basically um, me putting the work into the soil and dedicating time to filling water bottles and going, doing the hard work and going and having water bottles all the way through to the plot of land, um, and have them available. So, and then putting water in random places and so on. So it came back to me in the form that I don't have to pay for the water extra fees. So this is just showing you, okay, even if you don't have like money to put into it, try to put some resources like into these things. And when you begin to have the money to put into it, then put your money where your mouth is as much as you can. You don't always have like a lot of money, but if you do even a little bit, you're going to feel the effect. And I love it when I'm able to allocate that and I'm able to do this. Then I gain a lot. Okay, so this is more or less my advice to you, and I think there is so much information here, and you can definitely just take one thing and do this. And as for houses, you can check where what the house. Right now, the moon was in the second house, and of course, what did I manage to talk to you about? Money. Okay, how to make money by a skill. Okay, which is the second house. Values, money, skill. So you see how it works. Okay. Um, so yes. I think this pretty much sums it up. This pretty much sums it up. I wanted to show the asteroids. Display asteroids. So we have, is this Pallas? Oh, we have Pallas next to my Ketu. So now you see an asteroid. So the asteroid next to the moon was crossing over Pallas Athena. So this is where you can say, okay, what is Pallas Athena? Is this Pallas Athena? Yes. And Pallas Athena is basically kind of the righteous woman, but she also made me a big judging mistake. And this is how I teach Pallas Athena. You can watch another person. So with Pallas Athena, she was very, very beautiful woman, and but she was envious of the beauty of Medusa Gorgon and other women, and she was very righteous. Okay, so she was a righteous warrior, and she always fought for what is right and so on. But when Medusa Gorgon was raped by Poseidon, Pallas Athena, in many of the versions, did not believe Medusa Gorgon and thought that she was seductress. Because before that, Medusa Gorgon was saying, I'm so beautiful, and I'm so proud, and so proud of her beauty. So she thought that Medusa Gorgon seduced Poseidon and didn't believe, basically a rape victim, because of her enviousness of the beauty of Medusa Gorgon. Okay, so she was a righteous woman, but she had a pitfall or blind spot where, because of envy, she did not believe some other woman was a victim. Okay, and this is where I think I also ran into a Twitter post that had to do with this today. Someone did not believe that oh, do you know Syrian girl from Twitter? I blocked her not because of her actually, but because I began to receive like stuff in my channel that I've nothing to do with, and I said probably came from there. So yes, but she's activist, and she posted a photo of a survivor of the Nova Party. Yes, that went through rape. And she said, you see, this woman, people said she couldn't, all the evidence that they are showing was she was wearing a bathing suit, and they're just giving her no agency because they say she couldn't have chosen to wear this to the party, and so on and so forth. So far, this is true. Okay, like you couldn't, like, you cannot judge a woman because she's wearing a bathing suit. So she could never choose to wear this. It was a party, and the people were, I think, it's a desert region, the Nova Party, on the 7th of October. But then she decides, for some reason, that she did go through rape. Okay, she didn't believe her, and so we have this woman who is very, in her own morality, righteous woman. She's always fighting for what she believes is right, and whether we agree with her or not. And given even a feminist argument, okay, why are you giving no agency to the woman? It's the right of the woman to wear a bathing suit if she likes, okay? But she's not believing that this woman was actually raped. Okay, it's very much like Pallas Athena meets Medusa Gorgon, okay, and not believing her. Why? Because this woman is Israeli and this woman is supporting of the IDF, okay? And so you can disagree about the woman supporting IDF, not supporting IDF is mandatory army service in Israel, but you see how the asteroid Pallas, I encountered this today. I encountered the story of Pallas Athena and Medusa Gorgon today on Twitter. Okay? Actually, okay, in the what people would say my career environment. So you can see how the stories that are surrounding the moon, you literally meet them every day. Okay? Or I'm teaching you this astrological episode while the moon is conjuncting Uranus in my 10th house, which is astrology, the 10th house, career, in Sag, teaching, philosophy, giving you an astrological teaching about the first tip I say is the moon and how to study astrology. Okay, so, and Pallas is retrograde. Okay, so the event that even the event where this happens, this journalist, Syrian girl, she was mentioning an event that had already happened. Okay, the 7th of October, and this is correct with Pallas retrograde. Retrograde motion is an illusion. Okay, it's not the planet is moving retrograde because it is moving slower. We see it as though it is moving backwards. Okay, kind of like the Einstein relativity theory thing. Okay, or when you drive a car and it looks like the street poles are moving towards you. Okay, it's that illusion of the retrograde. It's the difference between speeds, but it has a meaning. The speed, the slower speed of a planet is closer to Earth than to the Sun. Then it means that we have a different type of more powerful experience with this planet, where we get to kind of stretch the time and we get to notice things, but also we can be overwhelmed. So usually there's something to correct, something to revise, as we see what astrology calls a retrograde and then a direct movement of a planet. Now, You, as usual for me, I bombarded you with a lot of information. Please feel free to ask me questions. Take only one thing, begin to apply. I gave you reference for people that already did something that I don't see myself doing, and every time I say I don't see myself doing, it's very likely that I'm next to be doing that. So, but right now you can watch this on the astrology podcast. Free, begin to practice astrology, and then when you feel like, oh, I'd want to uh, enroll in courses like more you, and also you will get to know yourself. Are you more like a self student that you would get books and hear things from here, things from there, but not like enroll in a complete, classes? Or are you the type of students that would go to an astrology school, go for year 1, year 2, year 3, um, and this is more to do with you. It could also be different times in your life. I ran into astrology as an applied science, so academia was one thing, and then this one. I'm only approaching 40, so I'm only part of life. It's too early to say any tendencies. So, hope this was useful. This is a good tip for Saturday night. And I am wondering, yes, I will. It is Mercury night, and what I do is already good for you, because the first person I learned this from is Crasiatasio. Crasiatasio would have this lunar by the moon horoscopes. She's doing sidereal Babylonian astrology, so no tropical zodiac. And she would say, oh, today, this will be a Sunday. Sunday is the day that ruled by the sun. You can wear yellow, work with garnet, and so on. So she would give you the crystal that's associated and the color that's associated with the rule and the planet that's associated. And this is how I began to learn about planetary days, also planetary nights. So today is tonight is Mercury night. And another thing that I like doing, other than honoring the planet, is uh, to look if there is something I want to give reverence to at that night. So right now it's Mercury night, but we have Sedna in Mercury. There are many ways to honor Sedna. Some do it on Mondays and I think Thursdays. And Sedna was Inuit, is an Inuit goddess of the sea and sea creatures. And her story is the story of the aftermath, betrayal and the aftermath of betrayal. But it's also learn and all the teachings that are associated with that. And one of the practices that I do is to give reverence. You can watch my recent Dinab Algedi video that I did yesterday. And I can do this usually by a story. So Sedna is in Gemini. And she's supposed to be still in 0 degrees Gemini. Here I can select asteroids. And because she moves so slowly, she's likely to be on the same degree. Oh, here he would put it under malefic, because she's associated with experiences of betrayal, but also amputated limbs, especially in Mercury, which rules hands. You see, the more you learn about the sign and the planet that's associated, for Sagittarius is Jupiter. I did not even begin to talk about Jupiter, the philosophy, teachings, children, and so on. Negative asteroids. Okay, so we should have Sedna. Yes, we have Sedna. Sedna. Oh my God. Okay. And did it give me Sedna? No, not yet. Wanted to give me Sedna. I wanted to display, but I see it's not yielding yet. Am I gonna do it like this? No, I don't think this will give me the answer. Mm, mm. Is it okay? But I want Sedna in transit. No, it doesn't give me Sedna. Okay, I can't show you this, but she's in Gemini. Next to my Karen. So Pluto trines her. So what do we do when we want to give reverence to something? There are many ways to do that. One thing is to honor that body of sky with something that's associated with it. So you can honor Inuit culture. You can honor people who have been through experiences of betrayal. You can honor people. People will have, let's say, disabilities or amputated limbs is appropriate to honor. You can also give charity, okay, to give donations to such people. Sedna, Gemini, well, betrayal experiences can also have to do with trade and with economy, especially around the digital stuff. So let's say if it's possible for you to help a person who maybe doesn't have access to certain, whether means of transportation or being partaken in business or in economy, because they don't have, let's say, digital ID or stuff like that, then if you can do something for such people, that can be also considered sadhana reverence. More things you can do for sadhana reverence. And when you say, why would you do that? Well, to create good connection with sadhana. Okay, when something in the sky is there are certain connections that we create, like we create with the planets, and which enriches our lives. And sometimes you say, okay, there is this Sedna which represents betrayal. What do I do about this other than to watch a horoscope and say, oh, this is doom and gloom? No, doesn't have to be doom and gloom. What you do about this is learn about Sedna and how to give reverence to Sedna. So for some people, say to appease Sedna, or just to create connection, like approach that is less ableistic and just kind of like putting your best foot forward. And yes, being appreciative. Sedna is also the goddess of the sea animals. So tending to, one of the things, I didn't connect this, but Pluto trine in Sedna, absolutely, I've been repeating a lot of times that you can Google where they do the fluoridization of the water project, which is not a bad thing for this action, but you take it into context, and fluoride was byproduct of industrial revolution by the generation of Pluto in Gemini, and they began to use it in Manhattan Project to build the A-bomb. And so after the A-bomb, the fluoride just went with the rest of the toxins into the soil, to the water, to the food. But today, if you just Google defluoridization of the water and you see which governments do this, you know which are building an A-bomb, okay? Because they take it back. When they take it back in Manhattan Project. So we want clear water, but we also have to tend to what do we do with the fluoride, which is when we tend to that, and when we unlock that, we have another step to denucleification, of the Earth. Okay. Also, because Sedna is about betrayal, and we're talking about Gemini, which is Mercury, and that is trade, the children, trafficking. So when we tend to abolishing the practice of expendable children or kidnapping children, not just in war, and people in general, and to abolishing human trafficking, and is usually done by resources. Um, then we have another big, big key unlocked to the nuclearification of the planet. So, and the third one is not necessarily directly to do with Sedna, is willing consent, it's more to do with Algol. And when the more we practice willing consent, then we unlock a huge key to the nuclearification of the Earth, because it is in those situations people go through types of death that are tortures or rape or stuff like that. When it's coming in masses to people, then this is what would get people like Oppenheimer to say, okay, better, more human thing would be to nuke the place and then end the war. Okay, and now we also don't need pilots. Back then needs pilot. We need the pilot to do this. And there are the 15-minute city projects, which mean people will be concentrated in one place, so they wouldn't be in the margins and have the tremendous effects that were the margins of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, where people didn't die immediately. So the point of is that the dignity is not about it's about ending torture and ending those type of stuff that happen en masse to people. So practice willing consent and abolishing sexual boundary violation, even in the name of so-called liberation, is a tremendous key to unlocking denuclearification. So this is also giving reference to Sedna trining Pluto. And this is something that I tend to every single day of my life recently. So yes, now let's look at the current planets. Hope this is useful. 20. Oh, the mid heaven is applying to Regulus with exalted sun in the 6th house. Yes, ascendant 22nd, ascendant on my Mars. Jupiter hour. So I will try to upload this. Usually I am, thank you, dear viewer. I will usually takes time because I'm shadow banned. But let's see if we get this up on Jupiter hour.